Okay. This is my little icon. It's like the US wearing a graduation cap.
Mm-hmm.
I have my categories, which I decided, like when you first go on, you're going to click associates, bachelor's, master's, specialist, because I feel like that's like the first thing you probably do. And then you can filter it from there.
Mm-hmm.
Location, type of tuition, all of that. So then I had my user scenarios, and then I sketched them on paper.
Sorry, Kate, hang on 1 second.
That's okay.
Are you effing kidding me? Are you serious? I'm asking for your help. Please go ahead and find out what everybody knows and how many. Get up to a toast and try and get out of the freezer. Oh my Lord. Okay, keep going, Kate. I'm listening.
Okay, so I sketched my things on paper, and then I just kind of took a picture. So it looks kind of rough, but
that's fine. It's fine.
So I did the 3 user scenarios, and then I did my wireframes.
Great. Those look great.
And I haven't gotten to my design yet, but I'm working on that now.
Well, can you go back to the beginning?
Yeah.
It looks super clean and nice. First of all, the icon, because it's going to be deployed so small on an iPhone interface, you know, it's going to be really tiny. Mm-hmm. I think it's all pretty understandable, except for the cap is really going to be really, really, really small. And the way it's positioned is kind of, I would just take that cap and scale it up like 203% and move it more into the center of the country so it doesn't interfere with, like, the black on the blue is really hard to see.
Okay.
With your categories, the category is kind of like, we kind of ran into this earlier this week. With your categories, you're actually listing descriptors as opposed to categories. The category would be like type of degree offered, and then all of those things right there would be descriptors of that category.
Okay.
Which is fine. You have more than enough categories, like the location. When you say type of school, what do you mean by that?
Like 2-year, 4-year, or like state school, private school,
okay,
technical school.
Okay. You might want to add that in parentheses after that.
Okay.
The tuition, the areas of study, size, extracurricular activities. Oh, you have type of school twice.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. Okay. I think it's just the way that you're describing it is a little bit. So keep going.
Okay. And then I have my user scenarios. So basically a high school junior who's looking into colleges. Mm-hmm. She wants to study photography, and then she wants her tuition to be 20% or less, and she wants to get involved in Greek life. So I had it up here so they would choose which degree type. And then kind of down here was just top rated schools in your area. And then once they went in there, it was just going to be like a stream of photos. And then the filter was going to be like
go back just 1 second. It would be good if you, on screen too, if you knew that you were looking at bachelor's programs. Is there a way to remind us what we have selected so far?
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
You might want to integrate that somewhere above the filtering.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Then I was going to, if you click filter there, I was going to have it as sort of a drop-down menu. Mm-hmm. And then you could go through all of these and then hit apply, and then your filtered pictures would pop up. And then if you selected one, it would go to like a page here with the name and the details, and then you could like save it, send or share.
Okay.
And then another one I had was somebody who has used the app before and they want to look through their saved schools. So it's basically the same thing, except you can go to the hamburger menu and you have like my profile, saved schools, invite friends, settings, about. So if you go into saved schools, it's sort of the same interface. You can filter through your saved schools. the same way.
Uh-huh.
And then it's basically the same thing. If you click on one of them, then this
Yeah.
will pop up.
Right. Good. I'm glad you're finding like consistencies, you know?
Hmm. And then this was just like a mother who wants her daughter to go to college in the area, and she wants to search through all of the top rated schools. So if you're on the home screen and you click top rated schools, it'll pull up all of the top rated schools in your area. And then it's basically the same thing again. So you would click on a picture and then it would pull up the selection.
Right. Well, how does it, when it says top rated schools in your area, how do you know if you're looking at bachelor's programs or master's programs or what?
Um, I guess that's a good point. I was just gonna have it as like the website I was going off of was like the most. It's like the top rated school ratings,
Mm-hmm.
and then I was just gonna put in there like they have a section where it's like top rated schools in Missouri,
Right.
and I was just gonna go off of that.
Good. Hey, Nick. Do you have any comments, Nick, since you're here? Oh, Kate, I think it's looking really good.
Okay, so I
Um,
just need to add the to know that you're like on the bachelor's or master.
yeah, give us some when we travel through this app, is there a way to show us what our journey has been
Okay.
and remind us what we're doing? So
Yeah.
orienting us a little bit more. That would be the main thing I would focus
Yeah,
on.
because if you click top rated schools, I should probably have that up here somewhere too.
Yeah, right,
Saved searches.
right,
Okay, that makes sense.
right.
And then I made my wireframe, so I just would need to add that on there too, and then work on my design.
Yeah, right. I think you're in good shape.
Okay.
Good. Hey, Nick, did you have something to show?
Yeah, I do. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Go ahead and
Okay.
share your screen.
So the thing that I wanted to do is create a series of dichotomous keys for taxonomic purposes.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, a dichotomous key is basically you tree that you don't know exactly what it is. You would use this dichotomous key that would basically narrow down what it is until it gives you a final result. Like the first thing it would do is it would say, does the tree have pine needles or does it have leaves?
Mm-hmm.
And then let's say you're looking at a shagbark hickory, you would say it has leaves. And then it's like, okay, does the bark look like it has like a bunch of pieces that you could peel off, or does it look like more one solid piece? And then you would choose the first option. And then eventually it would tell you, oh, you're looking at a shagbark hickory. So a bunch of things like that for just trees. One of the categories is trees, but 1 second, let me set up the screen share here. Okay, so like I think this is right now 8 categories of different keys that you would have to use. Like I was thinking that you could actually be able to buy more keys online for more specific things, and that there would be this whole other thing for trying to search for new keys to download, and that would be over here. Keys based on taxonomy, like if you want to have a key just for a specific phylum and like for like cephalopods, then you'd be able to do that. And you can have dichotomous keys basically for a specific region. Like if you want to look specifically at like a key for types of hunting game in Siberia, then you would be able to have someone's made it and it's been approved.
But I don't really understand what the ultimate element is in your database. What is this a collection of?
Dichotomous keys. Have you?
I don't even understand what that is.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Okay. A dichotomous key is a way for you to identify what an animal or a plant is.
Okay, and so that's your collection. Now, what are the categories that you're going to be organizing?
Okay, so the categories. So the default categories that you would have are plant, mammal, fish, bug, fungus, reptile, amphibian, and bird.
Okay.
Those are, with this sort of thing, there are so many different categories you could possibly have. So what I was thinking would be interesting is if you could download or purchase more sets of like keys from the internet, from like some sort of
Okay, I
online
think
store
that's
within the internet
probably just, I think that's more of like a little detail that, you know, that you would get
that
to
I don't
later.
need to worry about.
No.
Okay. So the user scenarios that I have for that, there I have right now I only have 4 instead of the required 5. 5 required, right?
No, I think you only need 3.
Oh, I only need 3? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the 4 that I have right now, all the work for them yet, but the 4 scenarios that I have are like the first one, unlikely a taxonomer would come across something that isn't sure if it's identified or not, so he's going to check to see if it actually exists yet in the database. Scenario would be like you're a dog breeder or just someone trying to purchase a dog. It sees something that looks like it might be a purebred, but he doesn't know for sure if it actually is one. So he's going to use the app to check to see if the person selling him this potential purebred is actually a legitimate purebred. And then the third scenario would be like a hunter is trying to find out if some animal that he sees is in game this season. And then the fourth scenario, which is kind of like my favorite one because I remember doing this, you're a Boy Scout, you're on a hike, and one of the requirements that you have to do for one of the ranks is to identify 5 different things that you see on a trail. And you would use the app to identify those things.
Okay. So there's a problem with your categories. Your categories are actually descriptors, right? So one of your categories is what it is, and it could be, yeah. And then it's either a plant, mammal, fish, bug, fungus, and then, you know, that's a descriptor. But like if I'm getting that user scenario and I don't know what it is, I think a category should be the size of the thing, the shape of the thing. Like it's not just do you know what I mean? It's not that.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Because like it's really hard.
I think that your database is so huge that it's making it very complicated.
Right. So I should probably choose a narrower set.
Yeah, I think what if you just focused on plants, for example?
Yeah, I was originally going to focus on plants.
Right. So then you could ultimately, the dichotomous key is not necessarily, that has a one-to-one relationship with the thing itself, right?
Yeah.
So really,
if I understand what you meant,
of all plants.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah. Okay.
Then what are our 7 categories of our plants? You know, there's a lot of ways that you could categorize them. You could categorize them by size, shape, where they grow, color, poisonous level. I don't know. There's so many different categories for that. And you're going to need all of these different categories if you are in one of your user scenarios where you're out hiking and you're trying to identify something.
Absolutely. I definitely like the one about where they grow, because that's something that someone would be able to know without knowing anything about plants.
And
because that's a potential possibility with this app.
This could be a very, very useful thing. Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. This could be a very useful app. But I think that trying to make it about categorizing every living thing is probably going to be very difficult.
Mm-hmm.
But that one thing where you were talking about, is it a shrub, a leafy plant, or that might be something like a plant type? Yeah. That would be a great category. How do we categorize it as a plant type? Are we going to call it a shrub? Are we going to call it a, you know?
Well, the thing that I used as an example, that was for trees. And I think most people know what a tree is by looking at it.
Well, tree versus shrub versus a moss.
Yeah, I was thinking like a good category like names would be tree, weed,
Oh,
and
yeah, okay.
flower, because I think like most people know like when you think of weed, you think of like just some leafy. Sometimes it might have leaves, just something that like grows out of the ground, and it's not a flower, basically. You know?
Right. So I think plant type is a great category. And however you, whatever descriptors you want to have underneath plant type is up to you. But I think what will help, Nick, is going back and forth between these user scenarios and trying to create these categories. Now, if I really were the Boy Scout trying to categorize what I was, or trying to figure out, trying to get to the, what did you call that again? The exact code of the archetype, or what did you call it?
Dichotomous key.
Dichotomous key. What if I really wanted to get to that dichotomous key of that particular thing I was looking at? What categories would help me? How would I get to that final answer?
Oh, that's a good point, because if I was in that situation, I would be looking for something that uses leaves, because a lot of the time, all that you have to go off of are just leaves on the ground.
Right. So that might be under leaf shape, and then some character. I mean, it could be shape or leaf shape or whatever.
I think that might be like I want it, like I'm thinking body part. Like what part of the thing you want to use. That category would be leaf, and then root, because all plants technically grow out of the ground, so they all have to have roots.
Well, Nick, you know what? Maybe this would make more sense to be a tree identification tool.
So just for trees?
That would make it a lot simpler. And then
just for trees? Okay.
Yeah, and then you could get you could talk about the height, the size, the bark color, leaf shape. If we're limiting it to trees, then the categories will be a lot more useful.
Yeah, absolutely. And it would also be a lot easier to categorize it by region too, because it's a whole lot easier to, okay.
I guess
although the user scenarios for that would be a lot more limited.
Yeah, Kate, go ahead. What were you going to say?
I'm just trying in this project. I'm a little bit confused about the difference between our categories and our filters.
Well, I think that the assignment, I don't know if you've watched the videos from a couple weeks ago where we were talking about how this would be built in a database.
Yeah.
Some things can be associated one-to-one with a category. For example, if I'm talking about the location of university, it's going to be one state. It's a one-to-one relationship for the most part, right?
Yeah.
However, if I'm talking about the possible degrees offered, there's a multiple to one relationship.
Mm-hmm.
So when you have a one-to-one situation, you can call it a category. It's either in this category or that category, or it might be, but if it applies to a lot of different things, then you can filter out. I only want to see these schools that have these attributes.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's kind of just different ways of describing kind of the same thing. If that makes sense.
The way I have mine set up though is okay, right?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Just some categories are a little bit more straightforward than others.
Okay.
It's kind of like when you're thinking about WordPress, the difference between categories and tags.
Okay. Yeah.
You put your posts in a specific category. However, you can tag it with a lot of different things.
Right. Okay. That makes sense.
Make sense?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, Nick, keep on rolling. Start to get your categories nailed down and your user scenarios now that you have a better sense of what you're going to do.
Yeah. Do you think, I think it might be better though, like if instead of trees, I would do weeds?
Sure.
Because I think that would just end up being like something a lot more people would use. Because like while identifying trees is cool, I think it would be a lot more people would actually download it if it was about weeds, because a lot of times you kind of need to know what that is, because you want to know, like, oh, is that actually poisonous? Is this gonna with it? Is it gonna? Can I use it to cure stomach problems? Is it that kind of thing?
Yeah, that's
I
fine.
use
I just think.
one.
Go ahead.
I use the tree one because I'm allergic to like 7 different trees, and I need to know which one.
User scenario. I'm gonna write that down.
So I think this assignment just is a lot easier if you can be a little bit more specific, as I think we're finding with your example. Right, Nick?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
Do you feel like you know what your next path is, your path is?
Absolutely.
Okay, good. Okay, well, we're gonna have a meeting on Tuesday morning at 9 o'clock, and then your assignment's not due till the end of next week, I think Thursday of next week, a week from today. But if either of you need, if you need help between now and then, just let me know, because I think that this critique has radically kind of changed your direction, Nick.
To be honest, it hasn't really changed it all that much. It's probably just made it easier for me, if anything else.
Yes, yes. So don't hesitate to reach out, and we can talk about this more, okay?
Absolutely.
All right, guys, I will see you later.
All right, thanks for your help.
No problem. Bye.
Bye.